What is going on, everybody? We are finishing up some Swooping Hawks, possibly. It's hard to say when these are going to be done. But we should have make some progress on them. So we'll get into it. I actually went through and base coated all the little red gems, which is just like 2 per guy. So that should be what we highlight first, get those out of the way. This guy actually got knocked off the table and his toes broke off. So we gobbed on some super glue to fix him. And I can't wait for him to break again for the rest of his existence, over and over again. The joy of Finecast. Thank you, Game Workshop. So glad that the Eldar range is in Finecast. Very, very nice of Games Workshop to create such a wonderful product. I'm just going to highlight all the yellow gems with Flash Gets Yellow here. The gems were done by just base coating them yellow and using red clear over top. And this highlight's not much more than just a swoop on the gemstone. Almost basically like just putting a little dot in each red gem in the bottom right corner. That's what I'm attempting anyway. If I miss, I miss. And we move on, it's okay. See if anybody jumps in the chat. I got some Warcry terrain primed. Not 100% sure when we'll get to working on that. I really do want to finish these guys and just get them off the paint table before I probably work on the Warcry. The Warcry terrain, it's actually quite a bit of work to clean up all the mold lines. And the places where like the injection spots where the mold was injected, I guess. But anyway, it's been going good. Like, I just can't sit there and clean mold lines for hours. I've been trying to find some good videos of people painting cool terrain on YouTube, especially the Warcry terrain. Shockingly, most of the videos are about speed painting the Warcry terrain, which is cool and all, but I'd rather watch a video of somebody painting it like really, really good and then basically reducing their effort to where I feel satisfied. It's like the speed painting of the Warcry terrain isn't as valuable because it's just going to be an airbrush, a wash, a dry brush, which of course is what it's going to be anyway. But I'm just curious if anybody can leave it in the comments has found any videos where people have really gone above and beyond. And it could be any fantasy terrain, I guess, but Age of Sigmar terrain. The Warcry terrain's basically ruins. And I think how we're going to actually approach it is just start putting paint on it and figure it out as we go. So maybe I don't have any video editing skills. So you're not going to get a fully edited video of how to paint really nice Warcry terrain from me. But we might get to see the progress over the stream. And that will be good because then at least we'll have a record of how we could do it. And it'll be nice to see. Like, I don't know. I mean, there's obviously all kinds of ways you could paint stone and rubble and stuff in your kind of tan or gray blue scales. But I'm kind of thinking I might do a bit of a red, or maybe a purple. I don't know. Sometimes people paint the Sigmar terrain, especially like the mausoleum and stuff, and kind of I'm going to just put some brown paint over all this glue I gobbed on. And I'm using a crappy brush just in case for some reason that glue is not dry. It should be plenty dry, but I don't want to destroy one of my better brushes just in case. Yeah, he actually broke off with his toes in the rock still. So that's fun. But yeah, so I'm thinking about doing maybe a red Warcry terrain set or like a purple to pink to tan. Kind of like a rose fleshy tone tan, like a Slanesh Warcry set. Haven't fully decided on it. If you've been watching the streams, I just kind of talk it out loud and try to figure it out from there. We're going to base coat the rocks. So I think we're going to go black. I know we're going to go black, but what I meant to say is I think we're going to go with this busted up shade brush just because I'm going to have to probably be stabbing this black into little nooks and crannies, which will destroy a tip of a brush. So no reason to put a brush that has a pointy tip at risk when I could just use a beat up GW brush that I'm not worried about. This doesn't have to be perfect because we'll be adding static grass and stuff like that to this base later. But I'd like to base coat this so we could dry brush the rocks. That way, once the rocks are all dry brushed, we can maybe start putting on some tufts and things. Maybe we'll get to that tonight. Hard to say. Obviously, I started a bit late tonight, so I'm not expecting a big turnout in the viewership or the chat, but anybody has any questions or is hanging out painting, feel free to join in. Definitely got some black paint on his foot. That's one of the downsides of not using a good brush for this. Because the brush doesn't have a good tip, it doesn't have as good a control. But that's okay. I don't know why I put so many rocks on this guy's base anyway. These little 25 mil bases. I think some of them I did like almost nothing on. Like he doesn't even have rocks. You might see a little bit more of that. Like maybe just a few of them need rocks from now on these kind of 25 mil bases. Definitely on like the Eldar Guardians. There's no way we're painting tons and tons of rocks on every base. Not as bad, of course, with the aspect warriors because they're, more elite special units. But yeah, on these 25 mil bases, because after you pull it on all the rocks, I mean, it does look cool, but there's really not a ton of room for all of this. But I guess once it's done, it'll look cool. Little disappointed in myself. I think I only dry brushed the rocks on the Dire Avenger base with one color. I didn't go back and watch the video or the stream. If I did it on stream, I could, I guess, go back and check exactly what I painted them with. But I would have, looking at them just over on the shelf over there, doesn't feel like I put in any kind of extra effort on painting the rocks. I think that's partially due to by the time you get to the rocks, you've painted so many gemstones. But I'm happy to say all our gemstones are painted until we decide to, all the wings have like 4 gemstones going up, 4 little gemstones on the wing. And once we decide to paint those, well, we'll have to do like 160 more gems. Because it's 4 per each side of the wing. So 16 gems per model. Now they are small gemstones, so it might be as simple as a base coat, dab a wash, dab a highlight. Dab a reflected light. Well, actually, I know it's that simple because that's how I do all the gems. So yeah, it is that simple, but it's just, I mean, it's not It wouldn't take so much time, but I'm getting pretty excited. I'm supposed to be getting my unmade warband in a couple days. Can't believe how long that's taken to get to me on Amazon. It's actually probably arriving in a pretty realistic shipping time. But when you pay for Amazon Prime, I think you probably got spoiled. I'm just used to things showing up much quicker. I think I'm going to speed up my brush strokes a little bit here. I think I'm being a little too cautious around the base. Just literally just Doombull brown with a wash of Agrax Air shade. It's not like something can't be fixed, and plus much of it will be covered with grass and tufts anyway, so. Kind of following the principle of painting inside out. You kind of think about that when you're doing your bases, and your outer layers are kind of cleaning up your inner layers. Well, then don't be afraid to let your slight mistakes with your paintbrush determine exactly where your flower tuft is going to go, or that little batch of static grass. Yeah, also I don't know who's watching right now, but it seems like the game stores in the Phoenix area are about to open up again. Not for gaming, but for shopping. So that's cool. I'll be able to run down, and honestly, I bought a lot of stuff right before the lockdown, and then I bought some Warcry stuff online. So I'm not really in the rush for any models. Actually, there is one model I'll get if they have it, and that is the big Minotaur from Warcry, the one with the spear. He's one of the newer models. I think he's called the Ogroid, like Miradon or something. Yeah, I think we're going to hit the unmade warband with a little bit more of like a one or two models at a time, probably. Just I'll get them all airbrushed up a little bit, and then I'll probably just maybe go, build up a little bit of a foundation on all of them, and then just take them one at a time to completion, more or less. And I think that's going to give us really a good sense of completion. I'm going to use Scorn Red. And this is just going to base coat all the little tassels on their feet. And I want to just double check. Oops. Just gonna go ahead and, oh man. Trying to pull up my Dire Avengers that I painted. I don't think I put photos of them online, so I think I gotta go check them real quick. And I just am trying to make sure. Oh my God, why is it impossible to pull up Instagram on a computer monitor here? Is it really only a app for the phone or something? All right, anyway, what I'm saying is on these, okay, let me close this. Basically, they have these little tassels on their feet. You can see him right there. He's got two little tassels right by his ankle. And I want to match probably how I did that. I don't think it's a big deal, but I did paint those on the Dire Avengers, and I would like to know if I put the red. Okay, so it looks like I did a red one on top and a white one on bottom. Okay, so I think we'll go ahead and just knock out the red ones on top of each guy. More or less going straight out of the pot. I just want to get this in one coat. I'll use a little bit of water and the piece of plastic there just to help control how much paint is on the brush. These little tassels are something you probably could even skip altogether if you're really trying to get these things done on the table. But it's, it's just one of those little details that helps break it up. Especially on my gold armor scheme here, it's nice to break up the gold. And I think we'll actually work on these cloaks after this. I think once those cloaks are completed, these will start to look much closer to being finished. And maybe while we do those cloaks, we'll hit the other tassel on each of their feet. Or I could do it right now. Probably what's going to happen is I'm going to find out, oh, they have more of those tassels on their arms or something. So I'll keep my eyes peeled. Got these guys too. I got to paint for Deep Madness, the board game. This is the last of the expansion, Rise of Dagon. These are the last 6 of these models are the last ones I got to do. And on the artwork, they look like they're just really popping out of shadow. So I'm really just probably gonna do mostly kind of dark blue, black wash stuff, and then maybe just pick out the guy a little bit. Nothing too crazy. And I think those things are more actually counters. I was glancing at the rules for that expansion, and those things seem like they're more, each player gets one, and it's like represents like your madness or something maybe. So I'm not even sure they're on the table while you play. It might just be on your like player dashboard. So because of that, I am not going to spend much time on them. After I show you while I reload my little handles. I think I'm definitely buying 2 more handles. I have all kinds of other ones that I made, like the poster tack on the wooden spool, which these work really, really well. I'll show you some of those for a second. Got these 2 guys I got to finish. Put them up on eBay as like maybe some city guards or something. But yeah, so they're on like the wooden spool handles, and those work nice. But having 3 GW handles, it's been pretty convenient to pop these Eldar guys on and off the little handles, whereas it's not as convenient to try and yank them off of poster tack, especially when they're fine cast and have tiny ankles, so they're more likely to break if you're popping them on and off the poster tack. But on these, you can use your fingers. So I'm just holding the swooping lock, and I'm using my thumb and my finger to separate. And that's how I'm pulling them off. And that's given, I don't know, it seems to be working really well. So I think I'm going to get 2 more. That way I could have 5 going. I mean, I could definitely just use my fingers like this, which I often do. And I'll do it on him just to show you. It's not hard. But it's a little less comfortable on the hand. So even if you don't want to buy the GW ones, which I used to just have one, right? I just had the black handle, and then I would use it just on like if I was painting a GW HQ. And then because I was doing some commissions for some Space Marine eliminators, I decided, I'll get 2 more handles, which I got the red ones. I get 2 more handles, and then that way I can do all 3 eliminators on a handle. Well, now I'm working on these Eldar guys, and I'm doing 10 at a time. So I think buying 10 handles is probably too much. Maybe one day. But I could see some value in adding 2 more handles. That way I can just do 5 at a time. It's funny, I actually bought these 2 red handles also because it was about to be locked down at the game store. And I just wanted to go buy some stuff just to support. And that's why I picked up, some extra varnish, some extra airbrush flow improver, stuff like that I didn't even need yet. But I just figured it would be good, go spend like $100, help them get an extra sale for the day until having to shut down for a month. Or at the time, who knew how long anything was going to be shut down. And then now I think I might go buy 2 more handles when they open back up. And it will also be like a way to support the store. Like they open back up, so got to support the store. So that's all the little red tassels. I think the little tabards that they're wearing, I think like a gray blue would be nice. So I'm gonna go Thunder Hawk Blue, I think. Unless I open this paint and it's awful. But it sounds okay. I haven't used this one in a really long time. I got Techless Blue or SoTech Green. This one's not. Actually, SoTech Green might be better. Since this is kind of a green blue on there. You know what? I think I gotta go with SoTech Green. And not all of them have the little, like he doesn't have the little tabard or cape or whatever. So we'll just load up the ones that do, like this guy here. He doesn't. And this is just going to be a nice pop color. But I think I'm going to just, the reason I'm selecting SoTech Green is it's kind of a green blue. And we have kind of a green blue scheme on the metallics of the helmet and the wings. So I think a green blue. Actually, wow, we only got 3 of them that have to do it on. Perfect. I have 3 handles. I think the green blue on the tabard, not metallic, possibly muted down, we'll see, will be a nice touch of just a little bit more of that green blue sprinkled in on just a couple of these models. I'm saving the wet palette. I have it all cleaned up and nice. And I'm saving it for the unmade when they arrive. The unmade will get their own fresh piece of palette paper. Got to be a little careful here, but we still haven't highlighted the gold, so there's still room to fix mistakes. Yeah, if you guys have been watching any channels you like, hobbying, let me know in the comments. I'm always looking for more content to browse on. This one, we got a pretty low activity as far as chat and whatnot tonight, but I think that's probably because I started a little later than I normally do. I do not like the fact that I can see this tabard all the way through. I'm trying to not make any mistakes. That's probably good enough. Hopefully, whenever I play these in an event, I will win Best Painted at the event. So I am trying to go above and beyond and do a good job. The goal of these is to be my best painted army. And then hopefully that means I can win Best Painted when I play in like an event. Which also means I'm willing to maybe work on these a bit in the future too. So I don't have to get them completely finished up. Just yet. Like, let's say there's a event coming up, then I could, take the night and paint all the gems on their wings, right? It's just that one extra detail, which is going to help make them pop. But until that event comes up or I actually manage to play in an event, of course I don't need to do that. They're going to look great already just for gaming. Oh man, I hate that there's just a little bit of the tabard you can see between their legs from the front. It's the perfect place to make tiny little sloppy mistakes. One big difference when you're going for Best Painted Army, it's not like a competition where they really pick up the models and deep dive into them. Especially if it's player voting, they're just going to walk by and write your name down if they like your army. So because of that, a lot of the extra little cleanup in the hard to reach spots, although I do it out of just habit, because I want it to look nice, but for the most part, that's not going to matter on if somebody was going to vote for you or not for like a Best Painted Army. It's going to be more what the army looks like overall. Definitely got some on the back of his leg there. Now that we will clean up later if we remember. But yeah, when people are, going through and voting for Best Painted Army at an event, they're not picking up each other's models the way like a judge would. There was a model show coming up at the local game store. Now, of course, who knows when that'll be. I hope they reschedule it. It's not like one of those, it's not like a tournament where 40 people are going to be crammed together all day long. It's more, you drop your models off, you walk around, you look at other people's models, maybe go eat lunch, hang out, wait a little bit. And then, it's not quite as all day as like a 40K tournament would be. And I hope that they don't, no events the rest of the year. But I guess it doesn't matter until we find out when we're even allowed to play again. Tell you, I was always anti-terrain, owning terrain. Never play at home. Always just play at the game store. And now with a month or so off, I'm definitely planning on, at least for a while, keeping this Warcry terrain for myself. That way, if something like this happens again in the winter or whatever, or something like this comes back, who knows? At least then maybe I could have a friend over and we could play some Warcry or something. Seems like most of my friends actually ended up still working, like all their jobs were deemed essential. So it's not like they had every single day off, but I'm sure if they're working 5 days a week, they're probably feeling it on that, that day off that now they just don't even get to really enjoy. I think we can just mix a highlight color with some of this Sotek green. And we'll do a touch of this verdigris blue. It's really, really a white blue. This is just going to be kind of quickly edged in. That way, when people look at these capes and cloaks, there's something interesting there. And that interesting thing is just a little highlight. And I'll probably hit these with a wash too, so that'll help reinforce the shadows. Just added a little bit of that verdigris color. The highlight's not extreme, but the verdigris color is also the base coat of these blue gems. So by adding that as the mix to lighten our Sotek green, hopefully that creates some nice unity in the color composition. And because we're still going to add a wash, I'm going to go a little lighter now for the next step. And yeah, once these little tabards are done, I think that's going to, really help. I mean, obviously it's only 3 of the 10 models, but makes these 3 look even sharper. This one I'm going to try and just focus it really towards the edges. just miss and put it right on his leg as I'm trying to avoid or trying to get my brush to be perpendicular to edge highlight. But oh well, we'll fix that later. Sometimes if you're quick, you can just wipe it off, but I don't have my paint's that thin right now. The chances of wiping it off are slim. Cool. And I think that'll be it for highlighting these for now. I think after the wash, we can reestablish some of it. And just because he's falling over. Just because we did that front line, we'll do it on all of them. I don't think actually that part between his legs should even have a highlight, but gives it a little bit of a pop. I think the wash for those will be maybe Drakenhof Nightshade, but heavily thinned down. We're gonna have to let them dry. Yeah, so I got this guy primed up. I was gonna do him stone, but I'm glad I didn't get started on him right away. He was gonna be a stone statue, but the ruins are all stone. So I think he's going to benefit from being seen. Some people paint him as like a big bronze statue or something. Because even these like ruins on his base would be stone. So he could just be a different color stone from the rest of it. Or maybe give an opportunity to make him like a bronze. So I think we're going to go bronze. I just noticed a little bit of black that didn't make it into the crack here. And we'll get to showcase the ghost dry brushes on this guy. Hopefully we'll get him looking good. I'm just putting some black paint in some of these deeper lines just to make sure, just in case the primer didn't quite reach it well enough. Another thing I could do is just, which I might, nah, probably not. So I could actually just, I rattle can primed him, but I could now just prime him with the airbrush and use the airbrush accuracy to make sure I get all these little areas. But it's easy enough to just do this with the black paint. So. Just looking for anywhere that maybe the gray is still showing. And just watering down some P3 black. Trying to make sure it gets in those areas. hate to pick up like a model or terrain or something, and then the light catches like that pure gray plastic look, like where the paint just all missed it and you maybe never saw it while you were working on it. So we're trying to avoid that by just taking this one extra step. Like I said, I want to try and do a good job. And, somewhat I have just that natural idea of like, oh, maybe I'll sell it. Maybe I'll sell it. Everything I paint, oh, maybe I'll sell it. So I always want to try to paint it to a standard that if I did sell it, I could, ask for double or whatever, at least. If I'm painting $50 worth of Swooping Hawks, if I had to sell them, I'd like to be able to sell them for at least 100. That's kind of my, I guess, philosophy on even painting my own stuff. And for something like the Swooping Hawks, I'd probably even try to go for like 150. Probably, I don't know. I think 10 Swooping Hawks is like $50 almost. Or 6 Swooping Hawks is almost $50. It's like 40. So they're about $6. $6 or $7 per model. So you'd want maybe at least 15 to 20 per model. I don't know if that's how I'd price it if I was just painting them for sale, but that's what goes through my head when I think if I, let's say in 6 months, I finally get to play my Eldar a few times and I just really don't enjoy it. Then maybe they get up for sale. Probably not, though. This is just an example. I mean, the Eldar are probably not going to be for sale unless for some reason I have sold all my other stuff that I know already is that I'm going to sell. So I'm in no rush to like, oh, I need to get rid of the Eldar if for some reason I decided I wasn't loving them. When I could spend that time getting rid of actual stuff I don't need anymore. Like old metal Warhammer fantasy models and stuff I don't care about. I don't care enough about them to paint them necessarily, but I do care enough about them to sell them because I know they're worth some money. All right, we've been going for almost an hour. I think I'm going to wash. Hopefully our little tabards are dry. I think I'm going to wash the tabards with Draconoth Nightshade and then possibly just call it a stream since we haven't had much action in the chat. So that way when I finish painting tonight, I can at least listen to some YouTube videos or whatever. We're going to go Draconoth Nightshade plus Lamy and Medium. Maybe 50-50, maybe 3-1. We'll do, let's do 6 drops of this. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Might have been 7. I was trying to watch if it was on camera. So maybe 10 drops of this, Lamy and Medium. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then maybe just a touch of water. That should be good. Oh, kicking over stuff. I think we'll go to the size 6 ghost brush for this. It's pointy enough that we can target our wash good, but also been abused enough that it's potentially on its way out. Although I've been using it every stream and it's still holding up. Good thing to do always, like, test your wash. Obviously, better to test it on a napkin or something. I'd say this wash is not dark enough, but we're gonna make it work. And we're making it work by adding extra. You know what? Actually, since we have it, I'm going to take it and line the wings. I don't know if I made enough for all the wings. This is just going to increase the shadow. Also, using the same wash on the wings as on the tabards, going to help unify the colors of the model. I've been eyeballing those wings, and I know they don't have enough shadow. So now seems like a good time to do it. Hopefully we made enough wash to get all the wings. That wasn't really the plan though when I made this amount of wash. So who knows? But the actual troops here, it's a much smaller wing than the X-Arc we did first. Yeah, one thing when you thin out washes with Lamy medium, you really get to actually reduce their strength, but still keep the properties of them working like a wash. It's a nice way to create a blue wash without completely staining all the surfaces, because Dragonite Nightshade is actually a really strong dark blue wash, which would probably look even better on the wings, just straight Nightshade. I think we'll just probably knock these all out in my hand without worrying much about I wonder, the chat box, I know it's been an hour, but the chat box looks a little different to me. I wonder if it's just not allowing anybody to chat. Maybe there was people in the chat, and then it wouldn't allow them to chat. So I don't even see a place for it to let me type something. Maybe there's something going on with that. Oh yeah, we're gonna have plenty of wash because these wings are much smaller. I was worried we were gonna run out. All we're doing is just taking it and running it right along the edge, trying to create just that little extra bit of contrast between the little wings and the big wing, or the little feathers and the big feathers, I guess. Yeah, it almost looks like maybe the chat is messed up tonight. That might be something wrong with YouTube. Unless I'm not allowed to type anything until somebody else types something, but I doubt that would be the case. If somebody's watching and you haven't thumbs up the video yet, can you thumb up the video to let me know if the chat's broken? So only thumb it up if the chat doesn't work. And that should put us at... Okay, that went to 3 thumbs up. So for some reason, the chat's just totally jacked. That sucks. This whole time, I thought it was just a slow night, but what it probably is nobody's able to communicate with me. Maybe I can close down this stream and then open up another one, see if that fixes it. Because if people are actually watching and want to hang out and chat, then I probably could stream a little longer. But not as fun if they're not allowed to chat. Just mixing up a little bit of light kind of glaze color here. And while that's really wet, I think I'm going to just try and make this work. It's a little thin. We just needed to have a subtle... This is that tap highlight I talk about, where what I'm doing is just tapping it along the raised area. It's creating kind of a broken line highlight. I always think it looks really nice. Gives it a little bit of a texture plus an edge highlight in a way, instead of like a normal just clean edge highlight, which we've all seen enough clean edge highlights, and maybe sometimes we don't want to do them. So give the tap highlight a try. You just tap, 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 tap. Tap, 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 tap. I want it to be probably more clustered together towards the end so it looks brighter, then kind of spread them out a little bit away. There we go. I'm doing that kind of while the wash is still kind of wet. Any mixing is going to create a nice kind of blend effect for us without having to sit here and blend everything. Cool. I think those little tabbers are done. Hopefully that's visible. I mean, it's still drying, right? The wash is still drying, but we got, you can see from that angle there, kind of a nice highlight on it. That's pretty quick, right? Just a base coat of wash a base coat with a little bit of a highlighting and then a wash and then just a tap highlight over the wash layer. And that top highlight was with a thin down paint. I used some of that blue wash to thin it down. I used some water. There wasn't a ton of paint left, even wet, on that piece of plastic. And because of using that kind of wetter paint for that top highlight, it has a bit of a transparency to it. And that's what helps even blend it in further. So there we are at 106. It looks like the chat is just simply messed up. And we possibly turn this off and start up a new one. And maybe on the new one, maybe we'll work on that giant head a little bit. So it's 3 o'clock in the morning, so I think I could go another hour or so. So thank you very much for watching. And hopefully some people want to join in for the one I fire up here in a second. Thank you so much, guys.